Man, Lagos was incredible.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that Sui Hackfest on campus was just, like, buzzing with energy.
Cool.
So many talented people building for Web3, you know? Really got me thinking about the future and all the pieces that need to come together to make it happen.
For sure.
Speaking of which, have you ever heard of Walrus on Sui?
Oh, yeah. Walrus is definitely making waves.
It is, right.
It's tackling a really crucial problem for Web3.
Totally.
Decentralized storage.
Yeah, it's just like we're constantly hearing about the risks of centralized storage, right?
Yeah.
All our data in the hands of a few big companies.
Right.
One single hack away from disaster.
Exactly. That single point of failure is a huge vulnerability.
It is.
Walrus has a different approach.
Okay.
Distributes data across a whole network of nodes.
Okay.
Almost like pieces of a puzzle, you know?
Okay.
Spread out far and wide, so even if some nodes go offline,
Right.
the data is still safe and accessible.
So no more putting all our digital eggs in one basket, basically. I like that, but how does it actually work? What makes it different from other decentralized storage?
Well, it's designed for what are called blobs.
Blobs?
Yeah, you know, like images, videos, audio files, any kind of digital content.
Okay.
It takes these blobs, breaks them down into smaller pieces, distributes those across the network.
Okay, so far so good, but where does Sui come in?
Sui is like the brains of the operation, right? It acts as that control layer for Walrus, managing all that metadata.
Metadata meaning?
Like information about the data itself.
Got it.
Sui makes sure everything is stored securely and can be retrieved when you need it.
Makes sense.
Provides that proof of availability.
So Sui's like the librarian, keeping everything organized, making sure you can always find the book you're looking for.
Yeah, that's a great analogy.
I like that.
But it takes things further, actually. Sui makes Walrus storage programmable and composable.
Hold on. Programmable storage, what does that even mean?
It means you can build applications where data stored on Walrus can trigger actions, interact with smart contracts.
Okay.
Imagine a world where data isn't just passively stored.
Yeah.
It actively participates in the applications we use.
Okay, that's where things start to get really interesting.
Right.
But before we get too deep into the potential, let's talk trust and security.
Yeah.
How do we know this whole system is reliable and tamper-proof?
That's where the wall token comes in.
Okay.
And the concept of delegated proof of stake.
Okay, break that down for me.
Storage nodes on the network, they have to stake wall tokens to participate. Creates a financial incentive to act honestly and maintain the integrity.
Gotcha. So it's like a built-in security deposit.
Yeah.
If a node tries to mess with the system, they lose their stake.
Exactly. And the delegated proof of stake means that token holders have a say in how the network's governed.
Right.
Ensuring it remains decentralized and secure.
Okay, so this is all starting to make sense. But I have to ask, how does this translate into real-world applications? What are some concrete examples of what Walrus can be used for?
I mean, the potential applications are vast.
Yeah.
We're really just scratching the surface.
Okay.
Take the media industry, for example. Walrus could be used to store these massive media libraries.
Yeah, okay.
Ensure that content's always accessible, resistant to censorship.
So news organizations, for example, could use Walrus to host their entire archive of articles, videos, make sure that information remains freely available.
Precisely.
That makes sense.
And it's not just about media. Think about NFTs.
NFTs, right?
Walrus can be used to store the actual data associated with NFTs.
Okay.
Ensures the integrity of ownership records, prevents loss or tampering.
Right. NFTs are all about verifiable ownership.
Yeah.
And Walrus seems like the perfect place to store that valuable data.
Exactly. And it goes even further. Think about AI.
AI, okay.
Which is exploding right now.
It is.
AI models require huge amounts of data for training and operation.
Right.
And Walrus is built to handle those massive data sets with speed and efficiency.
So Walrus could be used to power the next generation of AI applications.
Absolutely.
Providing the storage infrastructure for everything from self-driving cars to personalized medicine.
Yeah, and it's not just about these specific examples.
Okay.
Walrus is about building the foundation for a truly decentralized web.
Okay.
Where data ownership and control are in the hands of users, not corporations.
I like that.
Right?
That's a powerful vision.
Yeah.
So Walrus isn't just about storage.
Right.
It's about empowering a whole new way of building and interacting online.
Exactly.
But we've only scratched the surface here of what makes it so unique.
For sure.
What truly sets it apart. What are its biggest advantages?
Well, there are a few key advantages that make Walrus stand out.
Okay.
Firstly, it's surprisingly cost-effective.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
I always thought decentralized storage was notoriously expensive.
Yeah, it can be.
How does Walrus manage to keep costs down?
It's all about efficiency.
Okay.
They use a clever encoding protocol called red stuff that minimizes the amount of data replication required.
Okay.
Imagine slicing a pie into many slivers and distributing them across the network.
Okay.
Each node only holds a small sliver,
Yeah.
but together they can reconstruct the entire pie, or in this case, the entire file.
I see. Okay.
This eliminates the need to store countless identical copies, right?
Right.
Saves a lot of resources, makes it much more affordable.
That's a pretty tasty analogy.
Yeah.
So it's like a distributed backup system. Everyone contributes a little piece.
Exactly.
But what about security then?
Yeah.
If the data is spread out like that, isn't it more vulnerable to attacks?
Actually, the opposite is true.
Okay.
Walrus's distributed architecture makes it incredibly resilient.
Okay.
It uses a Byzantine fault-tolerant design.
A Byzantine fault-tolerant.
Okay, meaning it can handle the failure of a significant number of nodes without losing any data.
So even if there's a major outage or a coordinated attack, the data remains safe.
Exactly.
That's impressive.
And beyond resilience, Walrus is all about user ownership and control.
Okay.
Right. Decentralizing data storage takes power away from those big corporations.
I like that.
Puts it back in the hands of individuals.
It's a huge deal. It feels like we're constantly giving up control of our data these days.
Totally.
Walrus seems like a powerful way to push back against that trend.
It is, and with Sui's integration, it goes beyond simply storing data, right? It's about making that data programmable and interactive, creating a whole new world of possibilities for developers.
We touched on this earlier, but I'm still a little fuzzy on the details.
Sure.
Can you walk me through how Sui actually transforms data into these programmable assets?
Yeah, so Sui represents data stored on Walrus as objects, each with its own unique properties and relationships.
Okay.
It's this object-centric approach that makes data much easier to manage and interact with.
So it's not just a bunch of files sitting in a folder. It's more like a dynamic network of interconnected data points.
Exactly. Because of that, applications can treat data not just as passive information, but as active elements within the system.
Okay.
Imagine an NFT that changes its appearance based on real-world events, for example.
I see.
Or a social media platform where your data privacy settings are controlled entirely by you.
Right.
Not the platform itself.
Okay, now I'm really starting to see the potential here.
Good.
But let's get back to practicality for a second.
Sure.
I've talked about media, NFTs, AI.
Yeah.
How does Walrus handle the sheer volume of data generated by these applications? Can it truly scale to meet the demands of a decentralized future?
Scalability is baked into the very design of Walrus.
Okay.
Especially with Sui's integration.
Right.
As more nodes join the network, workloads are distributed effectively, ensuring smooth and predictable performance.
Right.
Even as the ecosystem grows.
So it's like a self-organizing system.
Yeah.
That adapts to the amount of data being stored.
Exactly.
The more people use it, the stronger and more efficient it becomes.
That's a great way to put it.
I like that.
And that scalability is crucial because we're not just talking about replacing existing systems. Right. We're talking about building entirely new paradigms for how we interact with data.
I love that. Building new paradigms.
Right.
It feels like we're on the cusp of something truly transformative here.
It really does.
But before we get too carried away with the future, I want to hear your thoughts on the present.
Sure.
What are some of the challenges that Walrus faces right now?
I think one of the biggest challenges for any decentralized technology is user experience, right? These systems can be complex, unfamiliar, which can create a barrier to entry for a lot of people.
That's a valid point. And I think sometimes we get so caught up in the technical details that we forget about the human element. If we want these technologies to succeed, they need to be accessible and intuitive for everyone.
Exactly.
Not just tech-savvy early adopters.
That's why it's so important for developers building on Walrus to prioritize that user-friendliness. We need clear explanations, intuitive interfaces, robust educational resources to help people understand the benefits, navigate the intricacies of decentralized storage.
So it's not just about building the technology. It's about building bridges that connect people to that technology.
Absolutely. The success of Walrus and the decentralized movement as a whole depends on our ability to create a more inclusive and empowering digital landscape. Where everyone can participate and benefit.
This has been a fascinating exploration of Walrus.
It has.
I feel like we've just scratched the surface.
Yeah, for sure.
Before we wrap things up,
Uh-huh.
I want to step back and consider the bigger picture.
Okay.
If we succeed in building this decentralized future,
Yeah.
what does that mean for society as a whole? How could it change our lives on a personal level?
That's a profound question.
It is.
At its core, decentralization is about giving individuals more control over their digital lives.
Right.
It's about breaking free from those walled gardens of big tech,
Yeah.
reclaiming ownership of our data, our identities, our online experiences.
So no more feeling like we're at the mercy of algorithms
Exactly.
and corporate data collection practices.
Imagine a world where you can choose where your data is stored,
Okay.
who has access to it,
Right.
how it's used.
Yeah.
A world where you can share your information securely with those you trust without worrying about it being exploited or misused by third parties.
That sounds incredibly empowering.
It is.
But it also raises some questions.
Sure.
If we're all in control of our own data,
Yeah.
how do we ensure that it's used responsibly?
Right.
How do we prevent the spread of misinformation or harmful content in a decentralized environment?
Those are crucial questions.
They are.
And there are no easy answers.
Sure.
Decentralization doesn't magically solve all of society's problems.
Right.
In fact, it might introduce new challenges that we need to address
Okay.
thoughtfully and collaboratively.
So it's not a utopia, but it's a step in the right direction.
Exactly.
It's about creating a more equitable and transparent digital landscape
Right.
where we have the tools and the power to shape our own destinies online.
I agree.
It really does feel like we're at a crossroads. We can
Okay.
keep going down this path of like centralized control,
Uh-huh.
or we can try and forge a new path
Right.
towards a more open, equitable, decentralized future.
Totally.
You know, thinking back to that Sui Hackfest in Lagos,
Yeah.
I was really struck by the optimism
Yeah.
and just the energy of the people there.
It's infectious, isn't it?
It really is. It felt like they were building this new world, like brick by digital brick.
Yeah, there's definitely a momentum building in the decentralized space.
Yeah.
More and more people are like waking up to the possibilities.
It feels like it.
And they're not just talking about it.
Right.
They're taking action.
And that's what gives me hope.
Yeah.
It's not just about the technology itself.
Right.
It's about the community, the shared vision, the belief that we can create something better together.
Exactly. And I think Walrus is a perfect example of that.
I agree.
It's a testament to what's possible when talented people come together to solve important problems, you know?
Absolutely. We've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive.
We have.
From the technical details of, data replication, proof of stake,
Yeah.
to the broader philosophical implications of data ownership, control.
It's a big topic.
It is, but I think it all boils down to one question.
Okay.
What kind of future do we want to create?
That's the question, isn't it?
It is. Do we want a future where our data is just treated as a commodity,
Right.
extracted and exploited by a handful of powerful corporations?
Yeah.
Or do we want a future where data is a force for good,
Right.
a tool for empowerment, a catalyst for positive change? I know what kind of future I want to be a part of.
Me too.
And I think Walrus, along with this whole decentralized movement, is showing us a glimpse of what that future could look like.
Yeah, it's a future where individuals have more agency,
Right.
more control, more opportunities to participate and thrive.
Yeah.
It's a future where we can use the power of data to solve some of the world's most pressing challenges,
Totally.
like climate change, social inequality.
There's ones.
Yeah, it's a future worth fighting for.
It is.
And it's a future that's within our grasp if we have the courage to embrace these possibilities.
Yeah, of decentralization.
Exactly.
This has been an incredible journey.
It has.
I want to thank you for, sharing your insights and expertise with us today.
Oh, the pleasure was all mine. Always inspiring to talk about these ideas with passionate people.
And to all our listeners out there,
Yeah,
we hope this deep dive has kind of sparked your curiosity and ignited your imagination.
for sure.
The future of data is in our hands.
It is.
It's up to us to decide what kind of world we want to create.
So go out there, explore, experiment, and